Come on, Kerry.
I don't know. Okay. I'm here.
Okay. Okay. Do the fellow that was talking, do you want to say any more? Just push star 6 now.
Yeah, actually, I wanted to ask about the state tax. How would I go about? What do you think? Is it the notice of deficiency and all that? I don't say that because that's a federal issue, right? So I'm trying to figure out what jurisdiction they had because I work in Montana. I don't live in Montana, but I was staying at an apartment there that was supplied by the company. So I think that they're taking my Montana journeyman license, which I reserved my rights on the document, and taking that license and using that against me, either as a resident or as an employee or because of that license. Those are the only two things that, you know, they could possibly maybe hold against me. And I got Supreme Court cases that say licenses. The licensee is not obligated to the obligations of the licensee because of the license. Like I feel it's full. Right. If I don't have the license, I can't. They won't hire me. You see, they play these games with people. And I feel that that's blackballing us.
Yeah, well, they do that a lot, and I don't know what you can do about it. You have to, I would have to see what you're trying to do and then go from there.
Well, they just sent me an estimated individual. It says individual tax liability, income tax liability.
Okay, that's good. Now that I can deal with. What I'm doing on that is I made up a form, my own form. I made up a form. It's a 1020 that I call it a 1020. And what you can do is if you use that, they have to tell you what you can send them. See, what it does is it's a 1020, and if you look, they can't tax Federal Reserve notes. And so I have it set up to where if they don't answer you, then you default them out. But if they do answer you, they go to jail. So it puts you in a really positive position. If they don't mind, if people don't mind, we can go over that tonight. And are you in front of a computer right now?
No, I use my phone. I have no signal out.
Okay, that's fine. We'll get on here.
Yep.
What we'll do is we'll have some people look up a few things and read them, and then you'll kind of see what we're doing and how we're doing it. And if you stay true to it, so far it's worked. You know, it works very, very well. The problem you have is they go silent, so we go silent. And then when we go silent, then when they come back really, really ugly.
Thank you. I would love to see that if you would share it with us and others want to see it as well. Also, the other gentleman who was speaking about, it sounded like a foreclosure and that you challenged the payment and the Federal Reserve notes. I'm dealing with something very similar and would love to hear more about that as well if it would benefit others.
Yeah. Let me say a couple other things. About the Federal Reserve notes, Kerry, that I know that they can't tax Federal Reserve notes. I got a lot of notes. I got on the tax code. I am jam-packed, and I'm getting it organized as I go along. But I also I endorsed each one of those checks, redeemed in lawful money, pursuant Title 12, Section 411. I put my name in upper and lowercase, DBA / my name in uppercase. And I endorsed those checks like that. When you endorse those checks like that, they can't tax those, and the bank cannot fractional lend those funds. So does that resonate with you at all? Are you familiar with that?
No, I don't really do that, and the reason for it is you can't stop the bank from doing anything because I haven't found anything that stops them from doing anything, but I have found some things that stops them from foreclosing and things like that. because what we're doing is things that they can't see. They don't see, when I go into it, they don't see the way I think. They can't see and can't get the arms around it. And so I've been successful that way because we run at them in a direction that they don't see coming. And then when we get there, they've already screwed up. We got several other people that we've got doing things, and we ask. I never tell them anything. I'll never tell them anything, no matter what. But I ask, and so once we start asking, they for some reason they'll tell you anything you want to hear, but then they realize, oops, we went too far. We're having a problem with the city up here where we're at. And so what we did is we asked the city, we just started asking the city questions. And the city answered them. They answered 6 or 8 questions, and then they realized what they had done. They had cut their own throat. So they threw us out of the meeting, and now they won't speak to us anymore. And basically, what they said was, we won't plea. And see, we did plea. We plead innocent until proven guilty, and the city says you can't plead that. And then I says, oh, well, the Constitution says we have a right to plead that. They said, well, we don't have the Constitution. We use what we call self-rule. I said, well, what exactly is that? Then they said, well, we have guilty, not guilty, and nolo contendere. He said, the reason we have that, because when you plead innocent, we have to prove you're guilty. He said, then that's impossible to do because we can't prove a negative. But by the same token, when you plead not guilty, you cannot prove you're innocent because that's a negative to you. As soon as he told us that, he threw us out of the meeting because now we're using that against them everywhere. In other words, what they're saying is the reason you can't plead innocent, because when you plead innocent, they have to prove you're guilty. See, you can't prove a negative. Well, it's the same thing. When you plead not guilty, now you have to prove you're innocent. Well, you can't prove you're innocent either. The reason you can't prove you're innocent, because that's a negative. See, it is a positive to you, but it's a negative. See, the reason they can't use Federal Reserve notes because that's a debt. If you can pay a debt with a debt, then you can pay your Visa bill with your MasterCard. Then you can pay your house payment with your car payment. You can pay your electric bill with your cable bill. And see, they have to be careful what they do. But if you understand that going in, there's things that you can do to put them in a position that they don't want to be in. And so that's how I'm doing most everything that I do. What I do is I ask, and then I get them put in a position where they're not real happy about it, because now if they don't answer, then I put in all my paper. If you don't answer, then here's your answer. This is what you're saying. Then I do a fault and then a default. Take the default down to the county or to the court, and I file it. And anytime when they say, if they say you have to pay, well, you can't pay a debt with a debt. So you can only discharge. As soon as they say pay, I take my default down to the courthouse and I file it. Now I've got a court order or a court document, and then I pay the debt with the default. And see, they have to take it, because if they don't take it, then they have to tell you what they will take, and they can't take Federal Reserve notes. So because I ask and I put them in a position where they get all balled up, it ends up.
The background noise is killing me here.
Say that again. I didn't hear you. But okay, somebody's making a lot of noise in the background. But my main what's that?
The person making the noise, the background noise, put your mute button on if you're not speaking.
Right, just hit *6 for us, because you can come back on any time. But what we're trying to do is, what we argue is jurisdiction. But jurisdiction works with absolutely everything. And the reason it works with everything is there anybody, is this the lady that was speaking earlier, are you still with us?
Yes, if you're talking about me.
Yes,
my name's Mary.
I was talking to you. Okay, let me ask you a question, if you don't mind.
Sure.
How do you give a court jurisdiction?
My understanding is that if you do not rebut it, then they assume that you accept their jurisdiction.
Okay, so so now I'm going to show you what you said, and then I'm going to show you how I think and what I bring to the table and what creates a major problem for them if you don't rebut. All right, your husband wants to get a divorce, so he goes to the federal district court, and asks the judge for a divorce. The judge gives him everything. You have to give him your retirement, your Social Security, and you have to pay him $1,000 a month, and you do not rebut. Tell me what he got.
I think I would submit a
I don't care what you submit.
challenge.
That's not what not what I asked you. Now, you don't rebut. You said, I asked you, how did you give the court jurisdiction, and you said don't rebut. So you don't rebut. The federal district court gave your husband everything, including your future money, and you have to pay him $1,000 a month. Tell me what your husband got.
Exactly what he wanted.
Nothing. Why is that? Because the federal district court has no jurisdiction in a divorce. You didn't rebut. See? So now, that's one example. So, how do you give a court jurisdiction, if you don't mind me asking?
I don't know.
Oh, so you can't. Now, let me show you what I'm saying. All right, there's two jurisdictions, in rem and in personam. In rem is subject matter, and in personam is personal jurisdiction. Now, which one's the most important for the court to have? I'm sorry, what?
I think subject matter.
No, you're wrong.
Okay.
So which one?
The other one, in persona.
No, you're wrong.
Oh. Well, both.
They have to have both. You're exactly right. So subject matter they can probably get. Now, the problem is, how does the court get personal jurisdiction? How would that ever happen? Tell me how that could happen.
Are you still asking me?
Yes, I am.
Okay. I believe by showing up or by...
You can't.
No? Okay.
You can't have it. Here's why. The Constitution says we have unalienable rights. In other words, we have unalienable rights. They're unalienable. They can't be touched under any circumstance. What does the court try to do?
Trick us.
Nope. They try to lien your rights. They try to take them. They try to do something with your rights. They're non-lienable. So the court can never get personal jurisdiction, no matter what it does. You can give it to them. You can write a letter. You can beg them. You can do anything you want. You cannot give them what they don't have, and they never have personal jurisdiction.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, this is great information. So that makes every order that they write null and void?
There you go. So what we have to do is, when you go to the courthouse for speeding, for whatever it is, the first thing out of my mouth when I show up, they call me to the front and say, how do you plead? I always ask, does this court have jurisdiction? The judge always says yes. I always say, oh, cool, can I see it? The judge, without fail, says no. So now, I always say, then I object. Now that I've objected, I'm going to appeal on the grounds. I asked for jurisdiction, he said yes, but he wouldn't show it. So the Constitution says we have a right or the Supreme Court, says if you challenge jurisdiction, it has to be proven. You can challenge it at the beginning, in the middle, or at the end. But once it's challenged, it has to be proven. I challenged it. It wasn't proven. So that means that they don't have jurisdiction. They know it. So now I can confess to everything. Were you speeding? Not only was I speeding, I ran over those 3 kids. Man, I got out of the car, beat that woman up. Man, I stabbed the 3. I robbed a bank. None of that matters. Why? Because they don't have jurisdiction. When I appeal on one thing. I challenged jurisdiction. The judge said that he had it and then said I couldn't see it. That right there is a reversible issue, no matter what they say. Now,
and you always do this through appeals?
Yeah, you can do it through appeal because normally the courts are real vulgar or real nasty. They're real. I've heard judges say, "The law is what I say it is." Well, yeah. The law is not what he says it is. All right, the law is what the law is. The law says. See, the other thing I say a lot is if I'm in there for a speeding ticket. That I'll ask the judge, does this court have jurisdiction? He says yes. So then I'll say, oh, cool. This is a traffic code court because this is a traffic ticket. So this is a traffic code court. Now he has jurisdiction and it's a traffic code court. Now in Texas, traffic code is for commercial use only. I just take that page and I pass it out. Then I sit down. Because if it's jurisdiction, if they have jurisdiction, and it's a traffic ticket, then it has to be a traffic code court. See, I hit them on an angle they never seen coming. They don't see that coming.
Did you say you pass out a case?
No, in Texas, under 541. Is the Texas Transportation Code. In the Texas Transportation Code, it says this code is for commercial use only. So the judge said he had jurisdiction, so he's a traffic code court. And guess what? The traffic code is only for commercial use. Doesn't that make sense?
Yeah.
See? So now he's talking commercial, and I'm not in commercial. So I can appeal everything. Let me ask you a question. Do you drive a car by any chance?
I think we're supposed to say no. It's my personal transportation vehicle or something.
No. You can say whatever you want. You can say whatever you want. Because, see, it's not about you. It's about the court. Does that make sense?
Yes, so even if they trick us, it doesn't matter because it is what it is.
It makes no difference. Okay. And the reason it makes no difference, okay, let me ask you a question, okay? Now, think about my story that I'm going to tell you. You're allergic to seafood. If you eat seafood, your throat swells up, you can't breathe, and it could kill you. Does that make sense? Now, so you're allergic to seafood. So somebody offers you a shrimp. Would you eat it?
No.
Okay. Would you eat a ribeye steak?
Yes.
Okay. What does S-E-E spell?
Oh, right. You would have to ask how they're defining it.
Then what you did is you walked right into it. You're allergic to seafood? Yeah. Then close your eyes and you can eat shrimp. Because, see, you didn't... See? There's a title. There's a title out there. If someone would look it up, we'll go over it real quick. And you'll see what they're doing to us. And why, if you understand this and you know this, you can follow along what they're saying. Then you will see the pitfalls and step over them, and they'll never be able to get a bite in you. They'll never get a hook in you. So if you're interested in that, are you in front of a computer? Is anybody in front of a computer?
Yeah, I can look it up.
Okay, would you look up Title 1, Section 1? And we're just going to go over it, and I'm going to apply it to everything that we're doing, whether it's tickets, whether it's property tax, whether it's sales tax, whether it's income tax, whether it's Internal Revenue Service, or whatever it is. And we have to understand this. If we don't understand it, see, we're gonna get it. Now, I'm going to ask you a question that's going to be uncomfortable, but I'm going to ask it anyways. How many times can you be a virgin?
How many times? You'd have to, well, that requires more explanation.
See how simple that was? I'm a virgin in airplane flying. I'm a virgin in driving a stock car. I'm a virgin in driving a NASCAR. I'm a virgin in running in a relay. See? So you're exactly right. But if we say once, that's how they get us. Doesn't that make sense? I'm not talking about sexual, because you can only be one once. As soon as you drive a NASCAR, you're no longer a virgin. You may not be eligible, you may not be experienced, but you can never be a virgin again. See, and we have to think this way, because when I go to the court, that's how I think. Now, have you looked up Title I, Section 1?
Yes.
Okay, what's the name of it?
It says rules of construction.
Keep reading.
Then there's, I can click on the first subsection, words denoting number, gender, and so forth.
Okay, now, number, gender, and so forth. Now, what I'm going to have you do is I'm going to have you read the first line. We're going to stop, and then I'm going to go back and show you how we have made errors in the past and how they use it against us. Would you read the first line for me?
Sure. It says, in determining the meaning of any act of Congress, unless the context indicates otherwise.
Okay, so in other words, here's what they're saying. Now, let's read the second line, and then I'm going to stop you partway through it so we can talk about it and understand it. We have to understand what we're up against. See what I'm saying? Now, here's my. Have you ever heard this? Have you ever heard this saying? I took a knife to a gunfight. Have you ever heard that?
Yes.
Okay, why would you go to a gunfight with a knife? Well, I didn't know. That's your fault. See, I'm going to go to a knife fight, and I'm taking me a grenade, because then I don't even have to get close. See, and that's what they're doing to us. They're taking the advantage of the way they have put things together. Now, read the second line, if you would, please.
Words importing the singular include and apply to several persons, parties, or things.
Now, stop right there. So let me ask you a question. What does the word singular mean?
I believe it means one.
Okay, see, it means one. What did it say there?
That it doesn't mean one. So, yeah, we have to ask for a definition.
Unless we tell you otherwise. So, why did you go to a gunfight with a knife? Well, I thought you didn't let them tell you otherwise. Does that make sense?
So, are you saying that person should have asked to be told otherwise?
Exactly. When you go to court, for an example, does this court have jurisdiction? Yes. Doggone it. Well, then I'm here by special appearance. You're going to see where that means nothing. That means absolutely nothing. And here's why. Let's read the next line.
Words importing the plural include the singular.
See? So if you're there by special appearance, what do they care? They could care less. Okay, no problem. See, they're going to mow over you. You're going to say, well, the judge is corrupt. The judge isn't corrupt. You don't have a clue. So may I ask you a personal question? Do you mind?
No, not at all. Go ahead.
Okay, are you married?
No.
Okay, have you ever been married?
Yes, I'm feeling like I should ask for a definition because I don't know what these words mean anymore.
Okay, did your husband know that you had several men and him at the same time? Did he know that?
That's not true. So.
Okay, wait a minute. Were you married to a single man? One man? Were you married to one man?
Yeah.
Okay, in court, I could say, so all those other boyfriends, did you expect him to just keep taking that? See, you're arguing the fact, well, wait a minute, my husband's a no good bum. Yes, but you had more than one man. Isn't that what it says?
It does.
See, you're in court because your husband beat you up or threw you out a window or whatever. So he's saying, well, that's because she's got 5 men with her. You're saying, no, I didn't. Now, all of a sudden, it's no longer about him throwing you out the window. It's about whatever the judge decides. Yeah. Huh.
Wow.
See? So now what we're doing is we're arguing. Well, my husband threw me out the window. Yes, because you had 4 other men. No, I didn't. Really? You didn't ask them otherwise. So it's too late to go back and say, well, what did you mean? Now, it gets better. Go ahead. Let's read the next line.
I hope you're going to tell us the solution to this before
I
end.
I am.
Okay.
I certainly am.
Then it says words importing the masculine gender include the feminine as well.
Now I understand why he divorced you. Not only did you sleep with men, you slept with women also. See? Well, no, I didn't. Well, the judge has the right unless he tells you otherwise. Now, we're going to pick up from here, but I'm going to show you what the remedy is for what the courts are doing to us. Okay. Now,
okay.
Gary, I want you to ask me. Go ahead. What was that?
Gary, they need to mute. There's too much noise going on.
Okay, Ed, if you would, mute everybody, and that lady and me will come back.
Okay, I'm going to remute everybody. There's a bunch that's not muted.
Right. Okay, ma'am, are you back with me?
Yes, it's Mary. And what is your name?
Mary. Mine's Carrie. Mary and Carrie. Cool. Now, here's how you fix it. Now, you ask me any question you want. Nothing's off the table, okay?
Okay. Were you driving a car?
I'm glad you asked. I'm not sure. What's your definition of a car? Now, I'm going to make you tell me otherwise. What's your definition of a car?
Your mode of conveyance from one place to another.
Okay, I don't know what conveyance is. I don't convey anything. I drive an F-150. See? Do you see how the words mean things? See, what you're doing
absolutely.
is you have old thinking. You have stinking thinking, and don't take that personal. What you're see, all I want you to do is tell me what you're asking me. Does that make sense? So, let's get back to what you said. You used to be married. You were married to a man and had a lot of boyfriends, and you also had a lot of girlfriends. And while you had all that, did you bring them home by any chance, or did you do it at their house?
I would have to back up and clarify.
Exactly. See? Now you're in court. You didn't know that, so you're up there going, bah, 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 and they're just running over you. They're mowing over you because the attorney knows what he's saying. The attorney knows what he's doing. The judge knows what he's doing. They want to get something from you. They want your money. So you're in there and you're saying, well, wait a minute. That's not what happened. Wait a minute. That's not what happened. Doesn't matter what happened. You didn't tell you otherwise. Does that make sense? See, now let's read the next line. It gets worse as you go. It just gets worse. Go ahead.
So, Terry,
read the next line.
Terry, once we make that mistake and we've said something, but then we realize, okay, wait, he thinks it means something that I didn't know he meant. Can you then say, okay, let me start over or scratch that from the record?
You can. You can. Or you can come up with something so outrageous, and I'm going to show you what I do. When I walk into a courtroom, I'm like a greased pig. You can't get your hand. You can't stop me because I'm slimy. I'm slippery, and I'm going to show you what I do. And I think it works because I've never paid a fine in my life. I've never paid a speeding ticket. I've never paid one. And the reason for it is I'm going to show you. But yes, you can. You can always correct the mistake. See, if I hit you with a hammer, I can't fix the dent, but I can say I'm sorry. See, so we can fix the mistake, and I'm going to show you how to do that. But it's in this batch. Let's read the next one.
Okay, thank you. Let's see. I scrolled down too far. Okay, I spread that one already. Words used in the present tense include the future as well as the present.
Okay, see the problem? So here's what you said. You were married once, so you have to be married now. Why? Because you were married once in the present, so that means in the future. So the only way that could be true is when I'm sitting on the bench and I look at you and I say to you, so did you ever slug a man? Yes. So you slug your husband. Well, no. Yes, you do, because what you do now is what you did in the future. So in other words, if you were a mean kid growing up, you're going to be a mean wife, and you're going to be a mean grandmother, and you're going to be a mean mother, and you're going to be a mean aunt. And do you see how perverted this is?
Wow. Yeah. I mean, it certainly seems like fraud, but you're saying it's allowed.
Well, it is fraud, but it is fraud. But they're telling you. See, they're telling you up front. Now, I'm going to show you some other things that they're doing that we argue and we just roll over for them. Now, let's read the next one.
The words insane and insane person shall include every idiot, insane person, and person, non-compos mentis.
Okay, so I've been in courts and they tell me this all the time. Well, that kind of an answer, I'm going to have to make you go in for a mental evaluation. See, they're using the mental evaluation for this statute so they can, when they ask you a question, are you a good mother? Yes. I'm going to have to send you in for a mental evaluation. Why? Because you admitted being married once. You admitted by saying that you had multiple husbands. You admitted loving women. You admitted, this is what you admitted to because of your answer. So, you must be crazy. So then the judge gets out of the trouble by saying, I'm going to have you sent in for a mental evaluation. Now, what I say to the judge, you're not going to believe this, Your Honor. I've already had one. My mother said I was different, but I'm not nuts. Now he's got a problem because it doesn't say that I have to see a doctor. It doesn't say there, and I make sure they understand that. So you tell me my mother is an idiot? Is that what you're saying? Now I got the jury on my side. See, I'm just an idiot that way. So in other words, what you're saying is, I'm not crazy. I'm different. Does being different mean you have to go see it?
I think 3966.
Go in for a mental evaluation? Then he would say yes. Oh, you and I are different, so then you have to go too. See? Is your children the same as me? No. Then they have to go too. Do you see what I've done now? I neutered what he said. Okay, please hit *6 if you're going to just make noise in the background. Hit *6 so we can you're coming through. Now, Mary, does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. Thank you. This is very helpful.
Okay, now go to the next line, and I'm going to show you what we're saying and why it doesn't work and why our arguments are flawed. Okay, go ahead and let's read the next one.
The word person and whoever include corporations, companies, associations, firms, partnerships, societies, and joint stock companies, as well as individuals.
Now, I have a friend of mine. Oh, my God, his whoever. Do you know whoever by any chance?
Can you define whoever?
See how simple that was? Do you see what you just did? You're making me tell you otherwise. Nah, never mind. I'm not going to use that question. Because if you say no, then I'm going to say, do you know what a General Motors is? You're going to say, yeah, it's a corporation. So you do know what whoever. See how? Wait a minute. Now you're defending from a negative position. Because whoever is so broad, do you know whoever? No, I don't. Now, okay, well, do you know what Ford is? Yeah, it's a car company. But would that be a corporation? Well, yeah. So you do know whoever. See what you just did? You walked off the cliff. But you said, I might. Who is it? Explain it to me. Now I have to tell you what I'm talking about. That brings us back into the game. Can you see that?
Yes, thank you.
Now, let's read the last couple, because the last couple are worse than everything so far.
Oh, my goodness.
Read the next one. Yep, it just gets worse.
Officer includes any person authorized by law to perform the duties of the office.
Okay, if my office is to, first of all, what's the first name of every policeman you've ever met or been pulled over by or ever talked to? What is his first name?
Well, they go by officer.
Okay, so that's their first name. So he is authorized to do what the office says. Here's my question. You're speeding and you get pulled over. The policeman gets out, walks up to your window, you roll it down, and he reaches his hand down your shirt. What are you doing? I'm authorized by the office. That's his interpretation. What are you going to do? He's got a gun, a club, a taser, a brass knuckles, and a big flashlight. What are you going to do? You're going to just stand there and let him do it? Do you see how mental this is? This is crazy. But see,
so what
we're arguing the fact. Okay, but here's what we're saying. I'm here by special appearance. I don't care if you're here by special appearance. We didn't tell you nothing yet. I didn't tell you when the police officer pulls you over, he gets to pants you. I didn't tell you that. See the problem we're having? The judges are corrupt. He pants me alongside the road. Yeah, but he's an officer. What does that mean? He has the ability to do that because boy, oh boy, this is insanity. Now, it gets worse. Let's read the next one and wait till the next one is the worst one of the batch. Go ahead and read the next one.
Oh, my goodness. All right. Oath includes affirmation and sworn includes affirmed.
That's not the one. That's okay.
Oh, wait a minute. I skipped one. You're right. Yes, I apologize. Signature or subscription includes a mark when the person making the same intended it as such.
Okay, now, a judge takes and puts a dot on a piece of paper. Tell me what that dot is.
It depends on his intention.
Okay. What could it be?
It could be a signature.
It says if he intended it to, it could be his signature. Okay, so he puts a dot on a paper, wants that to be his signature. Now, the next one is the worst one of the batch. Let's read the next one, and I'll show you what they're doing. We got to stop this, and I'll show you how to stop it.
Okay. Oath includes affirmation, and sworn includes affirmed.
That's okay. That wasn't it. Just read the next word group.
Oh, after that one? Okay. Writing includes printing and typewriting and reproductions of visual symbols by photographing, multigraphing, mimeographing, manifolding, or otherwise.
Okay, if a judge puts a dot on a piece of paper and meant that to be his signature, and I know you've heard this, I want to see the judge's original blue ink signature. You have the 25th generation of the dot. That's been mimeographed. Tell me what you have.
Nothing, because it's not the wet
Read it
signature.
Again. Nope. Read it again.
Oh, it could be a writing.
So it could be a 25th. So the judge that's up there is Billy Bob. Mary Lou put the dot. She meant that to be the signature. You have the 25th one that's been mimeographed. That is that judge's original signature. That's his original blue ink signature, and it's a dot on a piece of paper. Do you see the arguments that we're giving them? They're eating it up. They're throwing people in jail. They're eating it up. Does that make sense?
Yes. I'm looking forward to hearing the solution to this.
Okay. Here's the solution to that. I'm going to give you one more scenario that I'm going to make up. After that, then I'm going to do it. Okay.
Okay.
You're not married, so and please don't be offended by this, okay? You go out with a man. okay, somebody takes you out on a date for the first date, and he reaches his hand under your blouse, tell me what you're going to say, more than likely.
Without swearing at him, I would tell him to get his hands off of me.
Okay, so in other words, you're going to say no, right?
Absolutely, yes.
Okay, does no mean no?
In my world, but we're not playing in my world.
Okay, that's fine. No, it's in your world. No means no. Okay, you and him get along. After 5 or 10 months, 2 years, you get married to him. On your wedding night, he buys the nicest hotel room. You peek out the little peek window, and you can see across the hall, in the motel room across the hall, and your husband, you just married, is in bed with another woman. What would you say? Tell me what you would say.
That's not okay, and I don't want to be married anymore?
Wait a minute. He's doing exactly what you said. You said no means no. If he wants any kind of action like that at all, he has no options but to go elsewhere. So we have to back up. What does no mean now?
It needs to be defined.
There you go. There's your answer. No means, well, maybe later, not right now, maybe in 6 months, maybe on our wedding night, so that's how you fix the problem. Everything they ask you. Now, I want you to ask me, I don't care what they are, 4 questions. Any questions you want. I don't care. You won't embarrass me, and I'm not trying to set you up, but I'm going to show you how you fix this problem. Ask me any question you want.
Did you shoot that man?
What man?
If I'm pointing to them, I guess I would say that man sitting right there.
With what?
By the name of Joe Schmo.
Okay. With what?
Did you shoot him with the rifle that the policeman found?
See what I'm doing? Now I know.
Yep.
Did I shoot Joe Schmo with the rifle? No, that wasn't me. Do you see now? I neutered it, haven't I? See, you can't come back later and say, well, it was a 9mm. Doesn't matter. I already said no, and you already defined it. So I can now say, well, Your Honor, they're now changing the evidence. The evidence was a rifle. Now she's saying a pistol. Now it was from a distance. Now it's up close. Because unless we tell you otherwise. See, you're asking the question, so you have to define it. I don't have to. Does that make sense?
Yes.
There's one. Ask me another one.
Are you married?
Thank you for asking. To whom?
To Betty Boo.
No, I'm not.
So you made
do you see how difficult this becomes? It becomes that difficult to them also.
Right. So when they
so you say, well,
go ahead.
Go ahead. No,
I was just going to say, so when they say that they're making an order, or they just state something and then it's not clarified and it's not written down, what standing does that have, and what do we do to clarify it?
Okay, you're making an order. Then I always go back. That's why I said earlier, what I do is I let them throw anything they want to. Then I appeal it on the grounds. She asked if I was married to Billy Boo. The answer is no. I appeal it on that fact. She said, did I shoot Joe Schmo with the rifle? No, I didn't. I shot the idiot with an arrow. And I can appeal it. See? Do you see? In other words, I appeal it on the grounds. That's why I make you define everything. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Now,
thank you.
Watch this. Now, see, this is how I am. When I go to court for a traffic ticket, I'll be there for 2 hours. and they won't even get into the ticket yet, because I'm still making them define what the heck the officer in the office, what the hell the office is, and where does he get his. See, I run around the mulberry bush. Now I want to ask you a question again. If you don't want to answer it, you don't have to, and you can lie to me because I'm not. That's not it. How tall are you, if you don't mind me asking?
6 foot.
Great. Now ask me the same question.
How tall are you?
166 centimeters. Why did you pick 6 foot? I didn't ask that. All I asked was how tall are you? You automatically said 6 foot. Now, I'm 166 centimeters. See, you really can't use that because chances are nobody in the courtroom knows how tall 166 centimeters is. So now that the look on your face is, would you like me to tell you what it is in foot and inches?
Yeah, how would you like me to measure that?
Or you. What? Would you like me to tell you what it is in foot and inches?
Yes.
Foot singular, so I'm 1 foot 49 inches. You still don't know how tall I am. Do you see? Unless you tell me otherwise. So then
right.
Does that make sense? See?
Yes. If one is the same as plural, yeah, I see.
See? Now, who's on first? What's on second? I don't know who's on third. See, instead of going up there saying, my name is, see, now, it's called TMI, too much information. They'll ask you your name. You'll give them your first, your middle, your maiden, your married, your children's name, your mother's name, your dad's name. See, in order for them to get my name out of me when I go to court, they're going to ask me 6 different times to get the answer they want. Do you understand why? Because they didn't tell me otherwise. So what I have done is I have a glossary page. I believe Ed, when he sent it, if Ed sent you the email, my glossary page is there. The glossary page that I have when I go to the court, I ask the court, does this court have jurisdiction? Yes. Perfect. Here's the glossary page. Now, when they ask me a question, how tall are you, I have to tell them in foot and inches. But that's okay, because when I ask them a question, they have to answer it according to the glossary page. Now, the glossary page isn't mine. I've used Black's Law Dictionary, the Supreme Court, the Constitution. In other words, the same glossary page I use for everything, because 90% of all tickets, all times you go to court, has the same core. Does that make sense? They're all defined. If they say they're not going to use it, now I'm going to ask you another question. Would you answer? Do you mind me asking you one more question?
Sure, go ahead. No, I don't mind.
Okay. All right. Hiya, bodia. Bunga bunga booga.
I don't understand. Can you say that in a different way?
See how simple that was? When they ask me a question, are you using my glossary page? No. Then I don't understand the question. When I was indicted, I walked in and asked the court, does it have jurisdiction? Of course. I'm all chained down. And I handed them my glossary page and said, we're not using this, and they threw it on the floor. The first question out of the attorney's mouth was, for the record, would you give us your name? I said, absolutely, be glad to. 1965. She said, what? Yes, ma'am. Chevrolet. What? Impala. Did I tell you it was a 4-speed? Oh, it was the fastest car in the county. What are you talking about? Well, why'd you ask? I don't understand what my first car has to do with this case, but okay. Well, I didn't ask you that. Oh, are you using my glossary page? No. Sorry. Unless you define every word comes out of your mouth, I can only hear my glossary page. I have a right to defend. Now, has that helped you define what they're doing to us?
Yes, absolutely. No wonder I've had such a difficult time in the courtrooms.
Well, the problem is you walk in and you say, I'm here by special appearance, right?
Yes.
What difference is it? Now, I'm going to ask you a question, and you answer the question so I can show you. If I poke you in my right index finger and I bury it into your left eyeball socket all the way to the knuckle, would that hurt?
My immediate answer is yes.
Okay. Ask me the same question so I can show you how I would answer that.
If I stick my index finger all the way into your eyeball to the knuckle, would that hurt?
Hurt whom?
Right.
See, because here's my question. You said yes. Okay, now, Ed, if I poke her in the eye, will it hurt you?
Ed would say no.
Okay, so I can bring 500 experts in and put them on the stand and ask each one, if I poked Mary in the eye and buried my finger up to the knuckle, would it hurt you? Nope. They would leave. The next one, they would leave. The next one, they would leave. The next one, they would leave. I have 500 to 1. You're going to start to say, but I thought you meant, you want to know the truth? I don't care what you think. I really don't. Now, let me show you what I mean. Now, if the cop pulled you over, walked up there, and pantsed you, well, I thought you wanted that. What's the difference between that and what you just did? What's the difference? Nothing. He thought you wanted that. He walks up to the car, takes his taser out, and zaps you. Why'd you do that? I thought you wanted it. Doesn't that make sense? See, they can't see me coming. I hit them upside the head. They don't see me coming. In other words, when I walk in the courthouse, they'll call me up. They'll say, Mister, and I'll say, and I just ignore them. See, I'll ignore them. So what happens is they'll say, are you Mr. So-and-so? And I say, no, that's my dad. Because that's the honor place in my family. That's my dad. Now, let me ask you a question. Do you have a college degree?
My immediate answer would be yes, but now I know I need to define that.
Great.
I ask you to define it.
No problem. You said yes. Now, I don't have a college degree. I have a PhD. And that's really why I understand this so well. So, what is your college degree in?
I have a couple. Just for confidentiality, I'm going to make something up. I'll say engineering.
Great. Now ask me. I have a PhD.
What do you have a PhD in?
Oh, I have a public high school diploma.
Right. Yeah, this is how people mislead. Right.
See, they never see it coming. So it's not what you did, it's what they ask. And they can ask you any question they want. And when you answer the question that they ask, that you think they ask, by reading Title I, Section 1, they can hear anything they want, and they can give you and put you in jail for anything they want. When I was indicted, they gave me 55 years.
Wow.
I went home. The other 33 people went to prison because they answered it just like you. I'm here by special appearance. I went there and said, I'm here because the two pricks in the back came to my house, chained me up, and drugged me up here. That's why I'm here. See? So right off the bat, the judge says, we're giving you 55 years. I said, you're not giving me 55 years. If you don't give me 100, you ain't got a hair in your ass. And I sat down. So now, because, wait a minute, I can't give you 100. Well, then kiss my ass. Sat back down. Because, see, it's so far outside of what they're doing, they don't understand. See? Does that make sense? Now, I'm going to ask you another question. I want you to have the most, the very most. I'm giving you the first choice. You can have 30 or you can have 3. You want the most, the biggest, the greatest, the mostest. What do you want, 30 or 3?
I need further clarification. 30 of what? Or 3 of what?
Okay, 30 spots. I'm going to let you have a choice of 30 spots, and I'll take the 3 spots. Or you can have the 3 spots, and I'll take the 30 spots. But this is a question of the most.
I don't know what that means.
Okay? In other words, you can pick 30 and have the most, or you can pick 3 and have the most. Which one do you want? I'm giving you the first choice.
I need further clarification.
Spots. You know what? Okay, a spot, a quarter-inch spot. You can have 30 spots or 3 spots. You want the most. Which do you want?
The spots are all the same size?
Yeah, they're all the same size.
Can you define a spot?
It's a circle about 1/4 of an inch in diameter.
All right, I know this is a trick question, so if I just say 30, what are you going to say?
Okay, we're playing poker. Ace has 1 spot. So if you had 3 aces, you'd have 3 spots.
Okay.
If you had 10s, you'd have 30 spots because you'd have 3 10s. Which one's the most? 3 aces or 3 10s in poker?
They're the same.
No, they're not. So 3 aces is much better hand than 3 10s.
I guess it depends. So I'll either say 30
See,
or I'll say
there you go.
On...
I don't care what you thought. See,
right.
The question is, see, you were close. If you would have pushed me a little harder, I would have just not done it because you would have bounced into the corner. That's what I do. I just go in there, and that's how I do everything.
How would you have answered that question?
How would I have answered that question? Man, no problem. What are we doing? What are we going? What does the spots represent? What are they playing? I would have been there for 2 hours if it took me that long to get out of them. It's just the way I am. It doesn't matter to me. See? Now, I want to show you what I'm talking about. And I'm trying to tie Title I, Section 1 in, and then we're going to get into the IRS and what they're doing to us and how we can beat them out of that. Now, do you know Billy Gibbons?
Who's Billy Gibbons?
He's the lead guitarist and lead singer of the ZZ Top. What do you notice about him? What's the one thing that sticks out about him?
Is this another trick question?
Nope. His beard hangs down to his waist, so he's got a beard that's almost 3 feet long.
Okay.
Now, if I don't shave every day, my beard will grow to be 3 feet long. Okay? I got a beard right now that's 2 feet long. If I don't shave every day, it grows back. Do you shave?
What do I shave? What?
See how simple that was? Never mind. I'm not going to talk about it anymore. Do you see what you did? Because as soon as I say, do you shave your face, what are you going to say? No. You beat me.
Right.
Well, do you shave your legs? Yes. Oh, see, now it comes out. It's starting to come. Well, do you shave your head? No. See, now I'm giving you my defense. Does that make? Because if you would have said, well, no, I don't shave, then I would have said, what do you do with the armpit hairs? Do you braid it? Well, no, I thought you meant don't care. That's
right.
How you beat them. Does that make sense?
Yes. Does doing all of our litigating through paperwork avoid this, or can they still translate our words on paper into whatever they want?
Okay. What I do is when I write my lawsuit in paper, I always, on every piece of paper, put in a glossary page. And when I start off, my name is Carrie, a living, breathing soul, not schooled in law. I am not an attorney. I am an improper persona coming to this court with clean hands and a pure heart. Anything that's said today in this paperwork, the words will be defined from my glossary page. Any answers coming to me will be answered. Already, Brett. Okay, be sweet. Will be answered by the glossary page included. If you have any problems with my glossary page, cross the word out, redefine it, and I have no problem with that. Then I do my lawsuit. Does that make sense?
Yes, thank you.
Now let me ask you a question. Are you a woman of color?
It depends on what color you're asking.
Okay, I'm asking you just in general. I can't tell on the phone, and I don't recognize you or nothing. If I meet you on the street, I would know you. Are you a woman of color?
This is not a trick question. You're just asking me as common language.
I'm just asking you. Yeah, I'm just asking you.
And even this is a difficult question to ask because I'm darker than some people and lighter than some people.
Okay, but see the problem? Here's my question. Okay, so if you're white or considered to be white, the definition of white is the reflection of all color. So you would have to be a woman of color. If you're black, the definition of black is the absence of all color. So black people are not people of color.
Okay.
See?
Yes.
Because you didn't ask me to define it.
Okay. So I should have, when you say, are you a woman of color, I should ask you to define a woman of color.
See? Now, once I do that, you can now answer the question, and it won't bite you in the butt later. Now, if you would, somebody would, I'm going to show you what they're doing to us in the Internal Revenue world, the IRS world. If someone would look up title in their computer, go and get me a 1040 instruction manual, instructions. And we're going to go over that just real quick. Now, thank you, Mary. I hope I didn't embarrass you too much.
No. Thank you. I appreciate that. I'll mute out and let's try.
Okay. Does anybody else have a question that I'll be more than glad to help you, but I can only tell you how I do it. I can't tell you how you're doing it, whether it's right or wrong. I can only tell you how I'm doing it. But I'm darn near 100% effective with the IRS and in the courthouse.
Are you by chance in New York, and do you help people with cases for hire or?
I am not in New York, but if you need, but it doesn't matter because there's no difference. Because if you read that, it says any act of Congress. Now, who wrote from New York? Who wrote the laws of New York? Who wrote them?
Right now, it seems like Cuomo is just writing whatever he wants, but who actually wrote them, I don't know.
It would be New York Congress. Because, see, it goes through the House of Representatives, then it's approved by the Senate, and then it's signed into law by the governor, or whatever they're called. See, they have the three branches of government. That's who writes the law, Congress. So, does Title I, Section 1, does it pertain to that? Absolutely. Does that make sense? So, if you have a problem in New York or you have one in Florida, it really doesn't matter. Now, in Florida, they may have more rules on sun than you do there on snow, but in Florida, in New York, you're talking about the snow plowing. In Florida, they're talking about the heat wave. So that portion's different, but there's no difference in the way it's done. And the reason it is, we're not a court of law anymore. We're a court of statutes. So when you get in trouble, if you get a speeding ticket, you violated the traffic law, the statute, the traffic statute. Now, while the person's looking up for me the 1040 instructions, I'm a contractor, and I was doing my thing, and I had to go get my guy something to drink. So I drove down to the 7-Eleven. On the way in, there was a big plaque. Okay, let me finish this, and then I'll have you read it. There was a big plaque, and it said, "No consumption of alcohol on these premises because of the Texas Alcohol Beverage Code." Then I realized, wow, that's really something. So if you get a DWI, means you're driving while intoxicated, you can't borrow one statute from one code and put it with another. So Title 26 can't be enforced by Title 27. You can't enforce Title 18 by Title 24. You can't enforce one statute with another. So I went home and I looked in the Texas Transportation Code. Driving drunk is not in there. So I looked at the Alcohol Beverage Code. It's not in there either. So I went and pulled the Texas statutes. It's in there. So what they're saying is, if you got a DWI, driving drunk, that means that you're driving in the transportation code, and they're using the Texas code to charge you with drunk. So if we have a Texas alcohol beverage code, well, what does it cover? It covers alcohol beverages. Well, how in the world did you get drunk? Well, I was drinking alcohol beverages. So unless they have a code in the transportation code saying you can't drive drunk, they can't give you a ticket for it. Now, I'm not doing that if you got one just to have you go and get drunk. That's not the point. What I'm trying to show you is this is where the problem comes. they're writing a code in one section, and they're beating you up with it in the other because we don't know. For an example, I bought a house, and the house says you have to have grass. You don't have a choice. So in order for me to have grass, I have to water. But the state doesn't say I can't water. But the city that I live in says there's an ordinance you can't water but once a week. Once a week, my grass dies. Then I get this. I'm thinking to myself, how in the world they write a law that I have to have grass, and then they write a law saying I can't water it? That makes no sense. So we have there's a lot of that I'm involved in right now that we're helping people do right now. One of the other ones is, I got a friend of mine that his mother's sick, but he's working out of his house. So he put in his front yard a banner or a placard or a sign or whatever, and it says, computer repair, computer upgrades, whatever, and it's in his yard. Well, they gave him a ticket. So what we did is we went down to the city hall and said, why? He said, because you didn't buy a permit. If you buy a permit, you can have the sign in the front yard, but you can't run a business because we consider it a garage sale. In a garage sale, you can only have 3 times 1 month each in a year. So guess what? It's election season. In his neighborhood, we found 750 signs in the front yard. So we're suing the city because we went to the permit code, to the permit office, and pulled every one of those addresses to see what the permits they pulled for those signs. They don't have any permits. So we're suing the city for $3,000 per sign, per address, per house. So we had a meeting with the city manager. That's when the city manager says we don't have innocent to proven guilty because we can't prove we can't prove a negative. So we make you say not guilty. That way you can't prove you're innocent because you can't prove that you didn't do what we said. So we filed a lawsuit making them defend. The question is, does the ordinance say you have to have a permit to have a sign in the front yard? It's right there in black and white. We went and got a letter from the city, and it says there is no permit on that address, that address, that address, that address. The permit is $3,000. So we took $3,000, sized 750 houses, and that's what it is. I don't know what it is. 7 times 3 is $2.1 million or something like that. So now the city says, well, they can do whatever they want. So we added to the lawsuit. They're doing selective enforcement. They only enforce to who they want to, who doesn't pay for them. In other words, if I call myself Senator Kerry, I can have a sign. So they don't see my kind of thinking coming. They just don't know what to do. And so it's getting to be pretty funny because when we go down there for a meeting, they won't let me in. And the guy asked me who I was, and we had the guy fill out a power of attorney. We had it notarized. We went down and filed it in the court so that we have on a court record that I'm his power of attorney. So they asked me, am I an attorney? I said, yes. They said, where's your credentials? I said, right here, I'm a PO attorney. Now they're saying you can't use it, but yet the state says this is the state of Texas's power of attorney form. You fill this out, and then I can become his attorney. I can speak for him. And he won't get up because that's our deal. I'm going to do all of his talking. And I'm talking here, and they're just going bizarre. They're going absolutely insanity. So they said, well, what do you want us to do? The judge can't even speak. So we told them we want $2.1 million. And they said, well, we're not going to pay you. I said, well, go ahead and put it down that way. Then we'll just go to we'll go to the state because you got to admit one thing. You either let us have our sign in our front yard without a permit, or you permit all of theirs. It's your pick. It doesn't matter to us. They can't do that because that means people running for office, JPs and judges and whatever, they can't use the city that they're running for. So now we have got them pulling their hair out. It's absolutely funny. You watch them. Here comes this knucklehead me, see, and they want to know everything about me now. And I told them that I'll tell them anything they want to do, but we have to use my glossary page. So I entered my glossary page the other day into the lawsuit. Now they don't know what to do because, see, unless we tell you otherwise. Now, I don't mean to get off on too many tangents here. The guy that looked up the 1040 instructions, do you have it there? Hey, Ed, did I lose everybody?
Carrie, the same thing happened to me. What is a PO? Yesterday, I actually went into Harris County.
Power of.
Power of. Okay, now I did the same thing. I filed a power of attorney on my pastor because he's getting evicted in Harris County, which is very unfair. He's got two lawsuits. Okay, go ahead.
No, go ahead. I was saying that's fine. That's fine.
Oh, I didn't hear. I thought somebody else was speaking. So, long story short, I went yesterday. I actually told the judge it's a non-judicial, non-trial, and I was translating for him. So, we did put all the paperwork in order. We sent him through mail a return receipt. We asked him for his oath of office. I let him know that I was power of attorney in fact, and he went ahead and just
hold on 1 second. Hold on 1 second, okay? Now, let me tell you here's what you just said. You're a woman and a man.
I'm a woman and a man?
How can you be both?
Okay. So I don't know.
Okay. How can you wait a minute? How can you be a power of attorney and an attorney in fact? See, what we're doing is, do you know what a power of attorney is, and do you know what an attorney in fact is? Do you know what the difference is?
Power of attorney allows someone to speak for you because he doesn't know the language.
That's correct.
He didn't know the language. Now, attorney in fact is when you're able to pretty much sign for him, and also
see, that's what a power of attorney is. See, a power of attorney is the same. You're his attorney. Anything you talk to him about, I am him. That's a power of attorney. What happened to me when I got indicted, they did everything they could to push an attorney on me. So what I did is I wrote a contract. The contract that I wrote, I'm going to make it real short. I said if the attorney does what I say and I lose, I do the jail time. If the attorney does what he wants and he loses, he does the time. And I said, here, date it and sign it. I signed it, you signed it. He said, I'm not signing that. I said, then you don't work for me. So when it came down to it, they took 34 of us. All 33 people had an attorney. I wouldn't take an attorney, and the reason I didn't take the attorney because he wouldn't sign my contract. So, the Constitution says I can contract. It doesn't matter how I contract. See, you cannot be a power of attorney and an attorney in fact in the same breath. Does that make sense?
Okay, so then I need to amend it then. Okay.
Well, I would now. And the other thing you can do is if they try to do it, once you do your appeal, you get an automatic stay. So during the appellate process, my appeals are lasting because of the COVID has really helped me because my appeals are now 3 and 5 years old. I get a speeding ticket and I appeal it. I got a ticket that's over 5 years old. I don't know what to do with it. So I don't do anything. I drive around, no insurance, no license plates, nothing. Because when I get a ticket, I say, here's my what do you call it? My appeal. I'm living on an appeal until they appeal it. My truck is out of the system until I get my appeal because that's in my appeal. Not only am I, so I'm just an asshole that way. And so what happens is they do not like me. So when I get pulled over, there's a courthouse right down the road from me I live in precinct 2 in Tarrant County, And right in my precinct, 3 miles from my house, is the court that I would go to. I have a court order banning me from that court. I can't even walk in that court. If they see me in that court, I'm immediately to be arrested. So if I get a ticket, I pick up the phone, hit number 9, and it automatically dials the judge. The judge says, "What do you want?" "I got a ticket." He said, "Dismissed." "Thank you," and they dismiss it. I can't even walk in the door. So
yeah, we did Zoom. That's the new thing that they're doing because of COVID. And,
yes.
Of course, we were just playing the game, and we were acting, and I told all my guys, including my pastor, "Hey, just wear a mask," and then the county clerk was like, "Oh, ma'am, I can't hear you." I was like, "Do you want me to take the mask off, ma'am?" "Oh, no, I don't want you to do anything." I'm like, "Well, what do you want me to do then? I don't understand you." And then the judge is like, "Oh, I'm sorry, I don't really want me to, "Oh, well, I'm not trying to be rude." I said, "Judge, what do you want me to do? Do you want me to be power of attorney, or do you want, what is it that I need you to give your certificate of interpreter?" I said, "What is that? And what code and statute are you using? Because I'm not going under your Texas code and statutes. I'm going under the supremacy law, which is the Constitution. And I'm not going to give up my God-given rights, and neither is my pastor. He's family to me, and don't you dare cross your line." And he told the clerk, and then the clerk was scared as heck. But he did say, "She doesn't understand what she's doing," and he told me, "You better get a lawyer next time because you're going to lose, young lady." And I said, "What?"
Right.
And then that was it. He closed the case.
Right. So if you lose, just do an appeal and don't worry about it. And once you get your appeal, once you do the appeal, as soon as you file it, you get an automatic stay because that's how it works. And what I do is I throw everything in the kitchen sink. That way, and I get an appeal on everything. I get an appeal on my truck, my tires, my roof, my windshield wipers, my exhaust, my engine, my driver's seat, my passenger seat. I put everything in it. That way, my truck is now exempt from everything until this is heard. It's been 3 years, so.
So that would be the house then, the couches, the the light bulb, everything?
Well, the problem we're having is we're in a non-judicial foreclosure state. All the attorney will have to do, he'll file a rule, and then what he'll do is he'll follow a rule, and then it'll block the court from stepping in. See, in Texas, the JP has power or has jurisdiction up to $10,000. If you live in $1 million house, the attorney will file a rule, and then the JP will step up and sign the rule, and they'll throw him out of his house because the JP said to. And see, so a $10,000 maximum in the JP will take $1 million house. I'm working on that with John Cornyn. I'm filing a suit against John Cornyn here in a couple of weeks on the grounds that I lost a $500,000 house in a $10,000 court. So the problem with the house is there's so much money involved with it. So good luck with that. But I'm doing everything that I can. Say, so thank you for that. And would you let us know how it goes? Now, who's got the 1040 instructions? I'm going to try to show you when you get, yes.
Okay, well, I've got a few minutes, and I want to tell you something I witnessed about 20 years ago.
Yes, sir. Go right ahead and do it.
I was in a federal court and just witnessing in San Antonio, Texas, and about a month later I was in a federal court in Pecos, Texas. And in both those courts, the defendants, one of the defendants in each court, mentioned the Constitution. And the minute they did, both judges said, there is no Constitution in this court.
And the reason,
they both went to jail.
Right. Now, let me tell you why that is. Because, see, you can't argue. Let's go back to what we were saying on Title I, Section 1, unless we tell you otherwise. See, you got a ticket because of a statute. It's a statute. We're in a statutory court. So everything that I do, that's what I worded. I just got a ticket on a non-statutory whatever, and then I argue it from the non-statutory or whatever, because you can't drink clean water and dirty water. You can't put salt water and clean water together. You get bracket water. In other words, if you put clean water and salt water together, you don't have clean water and you don't have salt water. You have what they call bracket water. It's an in-between thing. So you can't use, it's like saying I'm going to go to the World Court. Or I went to the World Court and the Hague gave me a judgment. I brought it back home and I took it to the Hague sheriff, and the Hague sheriff went out there and protected me. Well, there is no Hague sheriff. That's the reason. There's no constitutional sheriff, but there is a statutory sheriff. So we have to learn how to argue the statutes. The statutes are good. I'm not saying they're as good as the Constitution, but I'm trying to show you, if you understand the language, and I showed you tonight, Title I, Section 1, any act of Congress, well, every statute written is written by Congress, state, county, federal, whatever. This is what they're living by. So we have to understand that and argue the argument by Title I, Section 1. That's the first rattle out of the box. Now, does that make sense? Thank you, Ed. That is true. So don't get frustrated. Just put your big boy panties on and go after them. See, in this case that we have up here, it said the ordinance, the city ordinance says you can't have a sign in your front yard without a permit. So we're making all of the Congress people that are running for Congress, if they put a sign in that city, we're adding that to our lawsuit. We're making it more and more expensive. So now they don't know what to do. So they're going around and now they got the cops, instead of patrolling, you see the cops pulling the signs out in the front yards because they don't know what to do. I come to them with an argument that they cannot win because I'm using their statutes. Now, who looked up the 1040 instructions? I'm going to show you how to write a letter. If you get a letter from the IRS, I'm going to show you how to write. No matter what they write you, they can write you anything they want. I'm going to give you a fingernail or a toenail or whatever, thumbnail, I guess, view of how you write every letter you get from the Internal Revenue Service, how you write it. If they push, you can win in the federal court. So you can't sue the IRS because they work for the IMF. So does the federal government because they got the money. But if you go to the United States District Court, there's a jurisdiction tab. The United States District Court can only hear 7 items, and they tell you what they are. And they tell you what they are. And by doing this, I'm able to sue the IRS agent in federal district court by using one of their 7 things. Who's got the 1040 instruction booklet? Who's got it?
I'm looking it up right now. I'm sorry, that's what you heard, my computer, so let's see. Let's see if it comes up. If it makes sense.
Gary, I got it if you want.
Yeah.
Okay, I want you to look at it and go to page 100. And
yeah, I'm there, Gary.
Okay, I'm going to have you stop along the way. Now, that page at the very top, what is the outline? In other words, what is
the heading? Disclosure, Privacy Act, and Paperwork Reduction Act notice.
Okay, so what you're going to do is, this is under the Paper Reduction Act, Privacy Act notice. Now, when you get a letter from the IRS, you're going to say, now, it has 3 columns, a left column, a middle column, and a right column. Now go to the left column and come down to the 3rd paragraph, and if you would start reading that, because I'm going to stop you, and we're going to go over and see what it says. This is your letter to anything the IRS says because of under the Privacy Act and Paper Reduction Act. Go ahead and read that, if you will. Start reading, and I'll stop you.
Our legal right to ask for information.
Stop right there. Who's our?
IRS.
Okay, so let's start over and let's read it that way.
The IRS's legal right to ask for information.
Stop right there. Hold on, wait a second. Now, what's the opposite of legal?
Illegal.
Okay. Now, here's what I tell them all the time. The lady, Mary, is that your name that was talking to me earlier?
Yes,
okay.
yes, I'm here. I was married. I am married.
Okay, I want you to do me a favor. I need you to stop. You're in New York, I'm assuming, because you asked the question. Are you in New York?
Yes, I am.
Okay, I want you to go to Buffalo. I'm going to give you the address. I want you to pick up 650 pages of child pornography, buy it, and mail it to me, and I'll pay you back. Would you do that?
No.
Why?
Because it's illegal and not.
Okay, that's all. I don't care about your. I don't care. Wait a second. I don't care about your religious beliefs, and I don't care about your morality, because we're not dealing with that. We're dealing with legal, law, and not law. So would you buy 650 pages of child pornography, put it in, and we'll mail it to you, and I'll pay you back? Would you do that?
No.
Why?
It's illegal and unlawful.
Okay, it's illegal? That's right. So the IRS's legal right to ask. So if they ask you something that's not legal, they're asking you to buy child pornography. I want you to get that picture in your mind. Now, let's finish reading this, if you will.
Our legal right to ask for information is Internal Revenue Code, Sections 6001, 6011, 6012A, and their regulations.
Stop right there. So, the IRS has a legal right to ask. That legal right is 6001, 6011, and 6012. Now, Mary, you have, before I tell you the answer, do you file a 1040?
No.
Why?
I don't have to.
Okay, as soon as you brought you in, okay, now I'm going to say, yes, you do have to. Why do you say you don't have to?
I didn't know I had to, if I do have to.
Okay, see, I don't care that you know or not. I'm going to give you one more chance. If you give me an argument that you can live with, you will not go to prison. Why do you think you don't have to? See, you're doing something and you can't defend it. See the problem? I'm going to show you the defense you need to have. All right, okay. Now, why is it you don't file one? Tell me why.
Because my understanding of what income is not. I don't think I have to. Why don't I? Well, why don't you tell me why I should or why I have to?
Okay, because the law says you do. 6648.1AG says Mary has to file a 1040 form. That's why.
That's not what I thought that it said, or not what I'm reading. It's actually not.
Now here's all. Now let's go back to what you said. I thought. Okay, when I meet you, I think you want me to pant you. Would that be okay? I think that's what you want.
No.
I
don't care what you think.
Now ain't that something? I don't care what you think. See? So they don't care what you think either. Now that you've stuck your foot in it, see the problem? I'm going to make you defend. The more you defend, the deeper in it you get. That's what we're doing. Now let's finish reading this, and I'm going to show you the answer to that. Let's finish reading that.
They say that you must, that would be 6001, 6011.
Okay. I'm sorry, go ahead.
They say that you must file a return or statement with us any tax you are liable for.
Now, did you hear that, Mary? 6001, 6011, and 6012A is their legal right. They say, those 3 sections say you must file a return or statement. Why don't I don't file a 1040 because I file a statement. Does that make sense?
Okay, yes.
Okay, do you know what statement I file every year?
What do you file?
Eat shit and die. That's a statement. I put it in my filing cabinet.
Do you really? And
Yeah, absolutely. Yes, I do.
But you don't send it to them. You just write it and put it in your
Well,
file.
it doesn't say. It doesn't. It says file.
Correct.
And I do.
Yep.
I don't see. Okay. Again, let me step back for a minute. Okay. When I meet you, I'm going to pant you. Why? Because you didn't say not to. You didn't say I couldn't. You didn't say, Terry, you can't pants me. You can't shirt me. You can't bra me. You can't put my underwear down. You can't comb my hair. You can't shave me. You can't. You didn't say all that. So I'm going to find something you didn't say and do it. That's what the IRS does to us. See? It says, I must file a return.
But then they can do something like what they did to me, and they put a lien on your home.
Okay, here's the problem. I take them to the United States tax court, and the United States tax court said they can't. Now I have the muscle that I need. I can now take that agent to the now. If 6001, 6011, and 6012A is their legal right, and they did a lien on you for 6431, tell me what I just did.
I'm not in front of my computer anymore. I'm sorry. I think
Don't worry about
what
that.
you're saying.
I don't care about that. Okay, 6001, 6011, and 6012A is the IRS's legal right to ask. We put a lien on you because of I'm putting a lien on you because of 6400A. What did I just do?
They're asking, so I need to rebut that then and say I don't agree.
Nope,
and so
absolutely not. Absolutely not. My legal right to ask is 6001, 6011, and 6012A. I'm putting a lien on you because of 6400A. What did I just do?
What does 6400A?
I don't care what it says. It's irrelevant.
Okay. I don't know then.
My legal right is 6001, 6011, and 6012A. I'm putting a lien on you because of 6400. What did I just do?
You stepped outside of the bounds of what you can do.
Oh, now they're asking you to buy child pornography. That's illegal.
Oh.
In other words, 6400 is... Okay, so every letter you get, we are going to put a lien on you under the Paper Reduction Privacy Act notice. This is your notice. You're outside of your legal right to ask. See Exhibit A. It's going to be that page, that highlighted. So if you do not release any and all liens and or levies immediately, I will see you in federal district court on the grounds you're violating the law and you're using a felony.
Wow, thank you so much. Is this is recorded? Can I hear this later?
No, you can't. You have to pay.
Okay.
No, I'm kidding you. Good night, Tracy. Of course you can.
Well, it's your time and your information. If you charge, you charge.
No, I don't care for that. What I'm trying to tell you...
You're just messing with me. Thank you.
Yes, let's not make it difficult, okay? Let's not make it difficult. Okay, do you file a 1040? No, why? Because I don't think I have to. Do you see what you just did?
Yes, and no.
Okay, do you file a 1040? No. Why? Because I don't think I have to. See what you just did? You took all the responsibility. Okay.
Right. Do I file one? Okay,
you don't have to?
Well, tell me why I do have to.
Wait,
yes, I'm getting it. I'm a little slow. Thank you.
Yeah. See, you're outside of your legal right. You're using fraud. You're using felonies as a legal tool. See, your legal right is because of this. Oh, gee, help me out there, guy. What does it say at the top of that page?
Paperwork Reduction Act.
Okay, Paper Reduction Act and Privacy Act notice. You're outside of your legal right. You're using felonies as a legal tool. I'm giving you one chance. You have 5 days to release any and all liens and or levies, or I'll sue you in federal district court on the grounds you're using felonies as a legal tool. Now I can take him to the federal district court because he's now stepped into the federal arena. The IRS agents work for the IMF. There's no court you can sue them in until they break the law. Now I can use the law they broke to go to the federal court. Does that make sense? Thank you for reading that. Now.
Yes, that does make sense. Thank you.
Now let me ask you a question. Do you file a 1040?
No.
Why?
Show me that I have to.
Okay, there you go again. Okay, I'm going to show you. The 1040 is the Title 26 is 14,000 pages. It's 8.5 inches thick. Page 4,812, line 3 says you have to file the 1040.
But that's outside of what is lawful.
But see, you didn't say that. Now you're defending again. Ask me the same question.
Do you file a 1040?
No.
Why not?
Because your 1040 instruction booklet forbids me from it. It says file a return or statement, so I file a statement.
Right. Okay.
See, under the Paper Reduction Act and Privacy Act notice, it says I can file a return, and I do a return. I do a 9104.35. See, I do my bank return, and I send it. Whatever. It doesn't say what. It says return or statement. So I file a statement. I write on a sheet of paper, eat shit and die. I sign it and put the date at the top, and I file it.
Okay. Thank you.
Does that make sense?
Yes, it does.
Okay. Now, I think you want me to punch you. So when I meet you, I'm going to haul off and punch you as hard as I can. I think that's what you want.
And this is where you want me to say that it doesn't matter what you think. I don't care what you think. Yes.
I don't care.
I get it.
See?
Right.
You go right ahead and punch me. When I wake up out of a coma, I'm going to take a hammer and I'm going to split your skull. See? It doesn't matter to me because the law says I got to file a return or statement. So or means exactly they're even. See?
Right. Got it.
See, I used Title 1, Section 1 against them. Okay, we're pretty much done. Does anybody have any quick last-minute questions so we can try our best to answer them? And
I do. This is Sharon.
Hey, Sharon.
Hi. You guys helped me before with the U.S. court. I did get of course, the order that I needed to get. But my thing is the state is coming after me now, and I was listening to the last call where you said you may have packages about the state and another situation about further taxes or future taxes or some type of affidavit or something you might have. And Ed, I did email him. He told me to ask about it on the call.
Okay, now I'm going to address that. If you want to go over a little bit, I'm going to ask you a couple of more questions, and then I'll show you what I'm doing. And the guy that looked up the 1040 instructions, would you go online and put in the word form, F-O-R-M, Black's Law Dictionary definition? Now, do you know what the word form means? Does anybody know what the word form means? The lady that would just ask me about it, do you know what the word form means?
No, I'm just looking at my Black's Law Dictionary right now just to see.
Okay, if you don't know what the words mean, that's how I got my start. What I do is I define every word. That's how I got my glossary page. That's how I stopped and make them tell me early, because I know what the words mean. Okay, and if I punch, let me ask a question. If I punch you in the nose and I hit you pretty hard, would it hurt?
If you punch me in the nose, I imagine it would hurt.
Okay, it wouldn't hurt me. Wouldn't hurt Mary.
Okay, so the question is, who would it hurt?
There you go. By knowing that, we can do it. Now, look up the word form in Black's Law Dictionary, and let's read it. And then if you have any questions, get back to Ed, and we'll help you with this. And I'll show you. I wrote my own form. I got my own form that I use on them. Now, and read it, and you'll see what I'm talking about. Look up the word form and read it for me.
Okay, I'm looking for it now. Okay, got so many forms of action forms, testimony forms. Let's see if they just have it by itself.
Okay, I'm going to define it the way Black's Law does. It's a model or a skeleton to be used. It's a model or a skeleton of an instrument to be used in a court of law. Now, it's no longer a form, it's an instrument. Now you got to understand, a form is an instrument. What is an instrument? See? So an instrument is something that they can change the wording going back to Title I, Section 1. They can say up is down and down is up. That's basically what an instrument is. So I have my own form that I use on them. I send them a form, ask them to check the box. If they don't check the box, here's what they agree to. Then I take them to court on the grounds, on my form, my instrument, ask them to do something, and here's what they agreed to. Now I have the advantage again. So when I go to court with them, I have the advantage. A court will only can only take facts and evidence. My facts are I gave them my form. The evidence is right here. They wouldn't sign it. Here's my paperwork to prove that. So I go in there. I'm the plaintiff. All I got to do is show my evidence, and they have to defend it. That's how I beat them every single time.
Okay, so basically file my own court action because they got a court action against me. I didn't know they did all that.
That's right. So what you do is you take a form and you send it to them saying, I'm ready and willing and able to fix this, but here's my problem. I need to know the following. You need to know the following because every one of them are to your advantage, to their disadvantage. If they answer it, they've shot themselves in the head. If they don't answer it, they've shot themselves in the head. So we're not into this. This is a war. This is a war between good and evil. So what I try to do is I try to give them their chance. If they don't take it, then I chop their head off if I can. So I use what they're using. They use forms, I use forms. See? Let's go back to, let me ask you a question, okay? I assume if I get to meet you, you want me to pant you. Would that be okay?
What do you mean by pat me?
Pants, P-A-N-T-S, pants you.
That's what I grab
the pants and I drop it. I grab you by the pants and I pull them to the floor.
Now ask the question again.
See? Do you see the problem? See, that's what I do to them. You want to pass me, not a problem. You want to do it in public or you want to do it in private? I don't care. See? Well, okay, since you didn't answer me, I'm going straight to the courthouse. He promised to pass me and wouldn't do it. Now I got him. See?
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay, I'm a horse's ass, okay, and I'm letting you know up front. See, words mean things. You have to understand what words mean. Now, let me ask you a question, and then we're going to go, okay? Do you mind if I ask you a personal question? It's not embarrassing too bad, but do you mind if I ask you a personal question?
Go ahead.
Are you a woman of color?
Am I a woman of color?
Yes.
What do you mean?
Okay, I mean, are you a woman of color? That's what I mean.
What do you mean by color?
I mean, the crayon box, those are colors. Are you a woman of color?
I think everybody's a person of color. What do you mean?
Close. See, you keep asking me and you're making me tell you. That's what will protect you. Does that make sense? See, because until I answer it, you don't have to answer nothing. You could sit there and say, no, I'm a woman of mystique. I'm a woman with twice the biggest brain as anybody else. I'm a woman of wrestler. I'm a woman from California. See, in other words, as long as you're asking me to clarify, you can go off on any tangent you want because you don't understand. Does that make sense? That's what we're protecting. That's what my form does. It runs them in a corner, and it puts them in a corner, and they fight back as a wild animal, and I just nonstop beat them until I win. I just beat them into submission. Okay, I hope I've answered anybody's question, and I hope that it was not so much entertaining, but I hope you learned something tonight. If anybody has any questions, at the bottom of the email you got, or the text you got tonight, you have an email address. Email that guy named Ed, and he'll help you, or he'll get you in touch with me.
Real quick question.
Yep.
Do you know what the amount of time I have to appeal a federal or a district court decision to the Court of Appeals? Is it 30 days, 10 days?
It's normally 30. But what I would do is I would go back. If you think you're out of time, go back and say, I want a finding of facts and conclusions of law. They're going to deny you. Then your time starts back over, and then you can appeal it. In other words, you have 30 days, and it's on the 29th day, and you'll never get it in. Put in a motion for finding of facts and conclusions of law. Stick it in real quick. What will happen is they'll come back and say, denied. Okay, now my time starts over. Now you got 30 more days. I told you, I'm an asshole. That's how I do everything. I work it to my advantage.
Before the call really officially started, how busy you were lately, I wanted to get your input on the way to handle my district court telling me that, I don't have a case yet, but I know I do, so I have good ground to work with you a little bit, but like I said, I know you're real busy lately.
Okay. Do you know how to get a hold of me?
Yeah. Oh, definitely.
Okay, then get a hold of me, and we'll talk one-on-one, and I'll show you how to do it.
All right. This is Dan in Virginia. Thank you very much, Kerry.
It's my pleasure. My pleasure.
Okay, folks.
Thank you for being here tonight.
Terry, I'd like to reach out to you as well. I didn't get a text message, though, as far as a number to contact you. I think you said Ed's number was attached, but I don't have that.
It is. Ed, would you mind giving your email address and write it down and get a hold of Ed, and he'll guide you to me.
Thank you.
It's in the email as well.
All right. Email.
Oh, it's in the email? All right. I think I have an email.
All right. Then it's in the email.
Okay.
Email Ed. Tell him what you want. Ed will take care of you, or he'll send you to me. Either one.
Great. Thank you again.
Okay, folks. Our next call is September the 8th. And we wish you a good night.
Ed, one question. Just the 1020. Do I just email you on that?
Yeah, I'll send it to you.
Okay.
Okay.